And I'm pleased to say that joining me up here on the media gallery at iceSheffield is Steelers forward Guillaume Desbiens. Guillaume, this is a heck of a game so far, 3-3 on the night.
Yeah, it's going back and forth. I never liked watching games. I prefer playing, but if there's one to watch, that's a good one.
Good resiliency from the Steelers. They've fought back 3 times, but how concerned will Paul Thompson be that the Steelers have gone behind 3 times?
Yeah, I liked their first period. I didn't really like the start of our second, but every time they scored, we came back, so that's a real positive. But we need to take over in the third period and separate them from us and make sure that they can't get back in the aggregate score.
A lot of questions have been coming in for you tonight on Twitter, and it's all the same one. What's wrong with you? Why can you not be in the lineup tonight?
I don't know how much the team wants to release, and obviously there's still some more examination been done by the doctors. But all I can say right now, it's an upper body injury, and I'm not going to be playing this weekend. But we'll reevaluate at the start of next week and see where it goes.
Obviously, you've been around, you've been a few places. You know how to deal with injuries, but it's never nice to watch, is it? There's always that frustration. Think, if I'd been there, I'd have got my stick on that, I'd have scored that. Are you sensing that tonight up here?
Yeah, you watch and you're like, I want to do this, and it's so easy to critique and say things when you're up on the press box, and it looks so much easier there. But once you're on the ice, it's a little bit different. But you want to help your team, and you want to be someone that's going to make a difference. But at the same time, it's a team, and it's not one guy, it's not 2 guys, it's a whole group effort. And tonight we're battling, we're missing a couple guys, but it gives a bigger role to some guys that don't get as much ice time usually, and there's some talented guys that deserve more ice time sometimes, so they get a shot tonight.
And we're seeing the value of the Steelers carrying that extra import tonight, still able to ice a full complement, even with you and Colton being out of the lineup. I suppose people may not know, but you were playing through the pain barrier on Sunday down in Cardiff, but a lot of fans probably won't realise that that's happening with most guys most weeks.
Yeah, it's I didn't do anything new in hockey. Guys play with injuries all the time. There's guys tonight play with injuries. It's part of the game. It's part of the business, and it's just being smart about it and playing the games to make sure that it's not going to affect you long term and affect the team long term. But it's a tough game and it's a physical game, and sometimes injuries happen.
Let's talk a little bit about you and your career so far, because normally when a player is signed at the start of the season, we have all summer to get to know them and the meet and greet and the back in August and the start of the season. But whenever you arrive mid-season, it's all a bit rushed and panicky. So how did that move from Ljubljana come about? You were playing in the Austrian league, but in Slovenia. That's slightly strange.
Yeah, the Austrian league has 12 teams, and 4 of them are from neighboring countries around Austria. There's 1 Italian team, 1 Slovenian, 1 Hungarian, and 1 Czech team, and so that makes it very multicultural, I would say, and it makes the play very different. You get a lot of different countries playing in, so different style of hockey. It's a very good league. But as far as the team I was for, Ljubljana had some and still have some financial problems, and I don't want to get into it publicly, but it wasn't a good situation for the players, and in my contract I had an option to get out of it, and decided to do so. And when I got talking to the Steelers and wanted a new challenge, and the Steelers came about and talked to few players on the team that I knew already, and the decision was an easy one for me to make.
I think that's one thing that sometimes the fans don't always appreciate, because we've had a situation in this country with Ryan Hayes joining the Steelers and Rutherford going across to the Giants, thinking, it's typical of the Elite League, but these issues happen across Europe, across North America as well.
Yeah, there's, I understand a lot of people were complaining about Ryan coming here, but there's a lot of things that even the players don't know about that happen, behind closed doors, and it's not always one team's or the other team's fault, but it just sometimes things happen, and some players don't want to stay where they are for a whole different bunch of reasons. And we were fortunate enough to get Ryan on our team, and right now, we're fairly lucky that we had him with the injuries that have hit us, and he's been able to contribute since he got here, so that's a huge plus for our team.
How have you assessed the impact that Ryan Hayes and also Connie Stromberg have made? 2 goals for Ryan Hayes in his first 2 games, a goal for Stromberg tonight. How have they settled into the locker room, and how have you found it out on the ice with them?
Well, it's been good. They didn't come. Two new players didn't come at the same time, so it was kind of they got easing into it. Connie came about 2 weeks ago, and then Ryan came last week. So when you get a whole group of new players, it's always hard to implement system and stuff like that. But since they came kind of in a staggered way, we were able to kind of just ease them in. And you saw Connie play really well the 2 games in Belfast. The whole team played well, but he was a big part of that. And as soon as Ryan came in, he had an impact. And so it's nice to see players coming in and having big goals or a big impact for our team.
What did you know about the Challenge Cup when you joined it? As soccer fans over here, football fans, we're used to a sort of a cup competition with a knockout element.
Yep.
Is that something you'd ever really played in before coming over here?
I kind of heard of I heard of Challenge Cup before, but I didn't really know exactly what it was. I know of the Champions League, which is similar format, so it was kind of how it was explained to me, which was like a Champions League within the Elite League. To win that, and they compared it to somewhat of the FA Cup in English football, so that helped me understand it a little bit. And it's nice. It's there's different things to win, and regular season back in North America is a long grind, and you play for only one thing is the playoffs. And so sometimes it gets a little long and tiring, and it's nice here that you have different things to focus on to keep you sharp and physically and mentally prepared.
Last season, the 3 major trophies were split among 3 different teams. The 2 conference trophies were won by 2 other teams, so 5 teams out of 10 picked up silverware. We've got another very competitive league again. Can you see the trophies being spread around, or is one team starting to emerge from the pack?
Well, you can see a few teams emerge from the pack. Obviously, Cardiff's been for as long as I know, and I followed the league a little bit since the beginning of the season. Cardiff's been at the top of the league for most of the season, so I think they're ahead of everybody right now. But there's always the group between us, Nottingham, and Braehead, and the Dundee. Well, they slipped a little bit, but there's and Belfast. That have emerged, but I feel like our play in the last few weeks have been really good, and we've kind of been able to make some ground on Cardiff, and gain some ground on the other teams behind us, which is big because it's a long season and it's a grind. But it's too early to see who's going to win what and when, and but obviously our goal is the regular season for us, and we're focusing on that. But tonight is the Challenge Cup, so we're focusing on that. It's a lot of different things, but coaching staff are doing a great job of keeping us sharp.
Well, we're not on the ice tonight, so we can look ahead. So let's do that to Saturday. The Cardiff Devils, the Steelers have won all the games they've played at home against the Devils, 1 in the Cup and 2 in the league. It needs to be another victory, doesn't it, surely, if the Steelers are going to keep that title push on track? Yeah,
if we wanted that title, we you got to win the games that from against the team you're chasing, and we let one slip by us last game, and it was my first game against Cardiff, and I kind of understand what's going on over there now. Everybody was kind of trying to explain to me what was that rink and and the situation there, and now I understand it's a tough building to play in, and they have a team that's well developed for that building, and they play it very well, so they're used to do it. So when a team comes in used to a bigger surface and it comes in at a smaller surface, and it's very different. So it'll be a very different Saturday when we play them at our arena, and I hope that we can come on top and shorten their lead.
How do you have to adapt your game, thinking as a forward? What's different for you when you're playing in a rink that is not just shorter lengthwise, but it's also slightly narrower, less distance between the blue lines?
As far as myself, I feel like it helps my game a little bit. I like to finish my body checks, and I like to be physical. So when there's less ground to cover, it's a little bit easier on the cardio and to last the whole game doing that. But for the skilled players that like to make plays and need a time with the puck, well, you don't have as much time, and the boards are very. You can't, at home we know how they're going to react. When you go there, it bounces everywhere, and it feels like you're playing tennis when you should be playing hockey, and it's very different. So it's hard to adjust yourself, I would say, and there's a lot of things that you don't know how they're going to happen, and it just makes it for you just have to stay on your toes and be ready for anything.
How does that lack of familiarity affect the Steelers then when they move from the Sheffield arena where they'd normally play and train to here at iceSheffield? It's the same size ice pad, but it always seems slightly different to play in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the building being a little bit smaller, it feels different, but like you say, the ice is the same, and it shouldn't be different. I don't know if it's so much the building or the fact that when we play here, usually it's a midweek game, and sometimes the Saturday night games are a little more lively. I don't know. For as far as the players, I think there shouldn't be any difference, but there is a little bit. But that's our job to make sure that we play the same way, either when it's at the arena or it's at the iceSheffield.
Let's look back to the earlier days of your career. You were drafted by the Atlanta Thrashers. You didn't make it to the NHL with them, but you did with Vancouver. Let's go back to draft day. Where were you? What were your initial feelings when you first got that call?
I was there with my family there. So that year, if I remember correctly, they do the first 3 rounds on one day, and then they do the rest of the rounds the next day. I had little hopes of being drafted on the first day, maybe in the 3rd round, but I didn't want to get my hopes up, so I wasn't really going in there thinking I was going to get drafted that day. So no disappointment on the first day, but the second day I knew that there's a very good chance it might happen, so I was very, very nervous. I had my family there with my godmother, my godfather, and it was a very, very special day to hear your name called, and it's kind of something that you work your whole life. It's not an NHL game by any means, but it feels like for the first time you might have made it to the NHL or have a chance to make it at the NHL. And when you dream about that your whole life, it's something that just happened. It's hard to describe, but it was a good feeling, and being able to share it with my family was something that I'll never forget.
Now, this is not a criticism at all, because I was an Atlanta Thrashers fan. I'm now a Winnipeg fan, but is there part of you that thinks undrafted, great, I've been drafted, but for Montreal or Toronto or New York Rangers, Atlanta in the South? Is there a little part of you that thinks, I wish it would have been somewhere else?
Maybe some players that maybe were listed higher and could have maybe the chance of, I wouldn't say choosing, but that were that talented that they wanted to pick where they played. But for me, it was just, I just want to be drafted. It doesn't matter where it is. And to be honest, I did want to get drafted by Montreal. I was a huge Quebec Nordiques fan back in the day, so I was kind of happy it didn't happen. But no, just the fact that you hear your name called is just such a relief that it didn't matter what team it was, to be honest. And it was kind of nice to explore a different part of the United States. I had never been in Georgia or down south in the U.S., so it was nice to be able to explore that for a couple of years.
So you spent time in the AHL and other leagues. You did get into the NHL with Vancouver. What do you remember of that first game?
I remember before the game, the day before, Daniel Sedin had gotten hurt, and we played the night before, and my coach brought me in the office after the game. He's like, you wanted to play in the NHL your whole life, right? I was like, sure. And he's like, well, you're going to get the chance tomorrow. And he's like, Daniel Sedin broke his ankle or something like that, and you're going for him. And I'm like, I hope they don't think I'm going to do what Daniel Sedin does, because they're going to be in for a rude awakening. But so I just flew in the next morning, got in very late in the afternoon, and played that night. So didn't have a whole lot of time to think about what was going to happen, but everything happened so quick. I do remember going into warm-up, and the guys had hidden my helmet for warm-up, and had to do the warm-up without a helmet, and they were kind of just laughing, but it was kind of nice. They were just trying to break my nerves and make me feel comfortable, so that was fun. And obviously the game was what it was. I was never been that nervous in my life. Don't tell my wife, but I don't think I was that nervous when I got married either, so it's just a very nerve-wracking day.
Did they win?
Yeah, we did in the shootout, if I remember correctly.
There we go.
Against Dallas.
Are you good on the penalty shots? I don't suppose you were likely to be selected that day, but is that a skill you possess?
I've won a few times in the AHL. I scored a couple times. I wouldn't say it's a specialty of mine. Usually go when there's nobody left on the bench.
Now, you've seen the Steelers obviously in practice. Any fans who saw Great Britain last summer will have seen Ben O'Connor put one between his legs and go top corner. Which Steelers players have really got the moves when it comes to shootouts in practice?
There's a couple guys. I'd be able to tell you which Steelers player shouldn't go on the shootout, but obviously Ben O'Connor's got some nice move. Robert, that's just behind us here. Dowd is very good at it too. Levi Nelson has really good hands. So it's just everybody has some kind of move that they can do. It's always depending on which goalie you're facing and if they're playing deep or out of their net, and it's always adapting to that. So it's really who can adapt to that and make that decision really quick that's going to score. It's hard to pinpoint anybody in particular.
We could get overtime. We could get penalties tonight. The Steelers have gone behind 3 times on the night. What's the nerves going to be like in this building if they go behind again and it becomes another 1-goal game? Yeah,
let's hope we don't go there, obviously. But if we do end up going there for whatever reason, obviously it's not a position we want to be in. We have a 2-goal lead, and if they come back, I'm sure everybody in the building will be nervous. We'll be nervous, and Fife even will be nervous. I think it'll be. I don't think. I mean, I guess we could be surprised, but I think it'll be a very, conservative third period for our team, just limiting any turnovers and scoring chances on their part, and I'm sure they're going to take chances and try to score. Hopefully, we can take advantage of that if they turn it over and really put the nail in the coffin.
What will Paul Thompson have been saying during the intermission? What's he like in a tight, tense situation?
He's a fairly calm person in general, so you would need to be playing really, really bad for him to yell at us. And when it's a tense situation, the worst thing you can do really is yell, and being even more tense, it's just not going to help the players at all. So I don't know exactly what he's saying, but I don't think he's yelling or anything. I think he's just reassuring that we play a strong game defensively, like I said, and not turning pucks over. After all, right now we're up by 2 and going to third period, so it's a good position to be in.
And finally, just to recap then, for anyone who's just joined us late, a quick summary again of your injury situation at the moment.
Like I said at the beginning, I will wait for the official statement from the Steelers. I don't want to say anything that they wouldn't want to release, but as far as I can say, it's an upper body injury, and I won't be playing this weekend, but I'll be probably reevaluated next week, and we'll see from there.
Well, we thank you very much for your time for joining us tonight on Steelers TV Live.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.